The arms race on the Korean Peninsula has intensified. North Korea has confirmed it's successfully tested a new submarine-launched ballistic missile. The United States, Japan and South Korea had already been discussing the escalating standoff with Pyongyang, and now Germany is the latest to condemn the test. Live to Nick Harper in a moment for reaction from Washington. But first, a look at Pyongyang's claim of a new undersea missile.
This new submarine-launched ballistic missile is the latest in North Korea's growing arsenal. A day after South Korea and Japan detected a possible weapons test, Pyongyang has confirmed the news. The projectile was successfully fired towards the east coast near Japan in the North's first underwater test launch in 2 years. Pyongyang claims the missile has advanced technologies that could make it harder to track. It's thinner and smaller than earlier models, designed to boost the North's underwater capabilities.
These launches violate multiple UN Security Council resolutions and are a threat to the region. We call on the DPRK to refrain from further provocations and engage in sustained and substantive dialogue, and our commitment to the defense of the Republic of Korea and Japan remains ironclad.
Intelligence chiefs from the United States, Japan and South Korea have been holding talks in Seoul. They're looking at ways to restart dialogue, including a possible formal declaration of the end of the Korean War. China has also urged for a renewed commitment to resolve tensions, but Pyongyang has so far refused to reciprocate.
当前半岛局势处于关键时期，有关各方应着眼大局，保持克制，致力于维护半岛和平稳定，坚持对话协商的正确方向，按照双轨并进思路和分阶段同步走原则，共同推进半岛问题的政治解决进程。
Fears are growing over an arms race in the Korean Peninsula. South Korea is holding what's said to be the country's largest ever defense exhibition this week.
Nick Harper joins us live now for more on this story. Nick, the US Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman, she's condemned North Korea's missile launch. How concerned is Washington over Pyongyang's latest test?
Well, undoubtedly, more missile launches being carried out by North Korea, it's always going to raise concern in Washington. In particular, I think this time around, because this is a new type of weapon being launched from a submarine. We know that it's a ballistic missile, not a cruise missile, and therefore it can be more dangerous. It can fly faster and further. It can carry potentially a larger and more deadly payload. So we are seeing lots of condemnation here in the United States. Wendy Sherman, the Deputy Secretary of State, saying that the US absolutely condemns the launches, saying that they threaten the security of neighbours around the Korean Peninsula, but they also undermine that global non-proliferation effort. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, as we heard just a moment ago, has also been condemning it, saying that it is a threat to the region. But as well as the US condemnation, we're also seeing international pressure as well. The United Nations Security Council in New York is due to have an emergency closed-door meeting in the coming hours. The UK and the United States called for this meeting. Of course, launches like these violate various United Nations Security Council sanctions, and therefore we're seeing that pressure also at the UN.
Well, meantime, Nick, we're also seeing growing momentum to restart dialogue with North Korea.
You're right, Dawn. Yeah, we are seeing this. Wendy Sherman has talked about it. Jen Psaki has talked about it, saying that there is an urgent need for dialogue and diplomacy. The US also saying that the offer remains that it will sit down and have talks with North Korea without preconditions. That is the Biden administration's current line, that they're happy to sit down without any conditions being set ahead of that meeting. Now, we know that the US wants North Korea to denuclearize before it removes any sanctions against the country. But we're also seeing pressure in the region as well, this momentum building. Again, we've got the US Special Representative for North Korea, Sung Kim, in the region. He's been in Seoul for the last couple of days, meeting his Japanese and South Korean counterparts. They have put out a statement expressing that trilaterally, all three of them are working together to reduce these tensions. They have this shared goal of trying to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. But in many ways, the very fact that these three men are meeting is perhaps the reason for the timing for these launches. We often see Pyongyang carry out missile tests, launches, when they feel that there is some sort of military drill or some threat in the region where we have these high-level meetings. So the timing of it probably likely to coincide with the very fact that we have the US Special Representative carrying out these meetings in Seoul.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for that. Nick Harper there in Washington, D.C.